The transport ship dropped through the purple sky like a falling stone. Inside, Captain Tay gripped his seat and tried not to look worried. He had crossed half the galaxy to reach this place, and now his stomach wanted to stay in orbit while the rest of him came down to the planet. "First time meeting the Velrathi?" asked Hana from the seat beside him. She was checking her tablet, looking calm as always. "First time meeting any aliens," Ty admitted. "Unless you count that one professor from the Mars colony." Hana smiled. "These will be different. Very different." The ship landed with a soft thump. Ty stood up and straightened his uniform. Earth had sent him here as their first real diplomat to the Velrathi people. No pressure at all. Just the future of human and alien relations resting on his shoulders. The door opened, and hot air rushed in. It smelled like cinnamon and something else Tay could not name. He stepped out onto the landing platform and got his first look at the Velrathi colony. The buildings were low and spread out, made from some kind of white stone that seemed to glow in the double sunlight. 2 suns hung in the sky, one yellow and one orange, making everything look strange and beautiful. Gardens grew between the buildings, full of plants with leaves in colors Ty had never seen before. But what really caught his attention were the Velrathi themselves. They stood waiting at the edge of the platform, and they were magnificent. Tall, covered in short fur that ranged from golden to deep red, with faces that reminded Tay of the big cats back on Earth. Lions, maybe, or tigers, but these aliens stood on 2 legs and wore simple robes. Their eyes were large and bright, with vertical pupils that watched Tay with careful attention. The one in front stepped forward. She was taller than the others, with copper-colored fur and a white mane that fell past her shoulders. She wore a blue robe with silver patterns. "Welcome to Velrath Prime," she said. Her voice was deep and smooth, like honey poured over gravel. "I am Shara, leader of this colony. We are pleased to receive Earth's representative." Tay bowed, the way the training videos had taught him. "Thank you, Leader Shara. I am Captain Tay, and this is my assistant Hana. Earth is honored by your invitation." Shara's whiskers twitched. Tay hoped that was a good sign. The training videos had not covered whisker meanings. "Come," Shara said. "We have prepared quarters for you. You must be tired from your journey." They walked through the colony, and Tay tried not to stare at everything. Velrathi of all sizes moved between the buildings. Some carried baskets of fruit. Others worked in the gardens. A few cubs chased each other around a fountain, their laughter sounding like bird song mixed with purring. The cubs stopped playing to watch Ty and Hana pass. Their eyes went wide, and they sniffed the air. One of them, small with spots on its fur, took a step closer. "Reeks, stay back," called an adult Velrathi. The cub obeyed, but kept staring. "They have never seen humans before," Shara explained. "You are very new to them. New and strange." "We probably smell funny too," Hana said cheerfully. Shara's whiskers twitched again. "All species have their own scent. We will grow used to yours, as you will grow used to ours." The embassy quarters were in a building near the center of the colony. It was simple but comfortable, with 2 rooms connected by a shared washing area. The furniture was clearly made for Velrathi bodies, but it would work well enough for humans. "This is wonderful," Tay said. "Thank you." "We hope you will be comfortable here," Shara replied. "Tomorrow we will begin our discussions about trade and cooperation. But today, rest. Recover from your journey. If you need anything, there are Velrathi nearby who can help." After Shara left, Ty and Hana began unpacking their things. The transport ship had already delivered their larger bags. Tay pulled out his clothes and made a face. "Everything smells like recycled air," he said. "There's a washing unit in the back room," Hana told him. "And look, There's a courtyard outside with a line for hanging things to dry. The breeze here smells nice, much better than ship air. Tay found the courtyard. It was small, surrounded by a low wall with the twin suns shining down bright and warm. A metal line stretched from one side to the other, perfect for hanging laundry. When on an alien world, he muttered to himself, and started the washing unit. An hour later, his shirts and Hana's clothes hung on the line, moving gently in the warm breeze. The water here cleaned things well, and the soap they had brought from Earth worked just fine. Soon everything would smell fresh again. Tay went back inside and collapsed on the sleeping platform. It was wider than a human bed and covered with something soft that felt like velvet. Through the window, he could see the purple sky turning darker as evening came. One sun had already set and the other was following. "Tomorrow starts the real work," he said to Hana, who was organizing her workspace. "You'll do fine," she assured him. "Just be yourself. Be honest. They invited us here because they want to know humans, so let them know humans." Tay hoped she was right. He closed his eyes and listened to the sounds of the colony settling down for the night. Somewhere far away, something howled at the rising moons. Closer, he could hear Velrathi voices singing in harmony, a bedtime song perhaps. His clothes moved on the line outside, drying slowly in the alien air. The fabric soaked up the warmth of the day and the scent of this new world. Tay's sweat from the journey, his human smell, settled into every thread and fiber. In the darkness beyond the embassy quarters, small eyes watched the hanging clothes. Curious eyes, young eyes, eyes that saw something new and interesting, just waiting to be explored. But Tay knew nothing about this. He fell asleep thinking about tomorrow's meetings, about trade agreements and cultural exchanges, about making Earth proud. He had no idea that his laundry would change everything. The three cubs waited until deep night before they made their move. Reeks was the smallest, with golden fur covered in dark spots. Vela was slightly bigger, sleek and gray with silver stripes. Tor was the largest of the three, with deep red fur and a tuft of black at the end of his tail. They were all young, barely past their naming day, and they were very, very curious. "Are you sure about this?" Vela whispered. Her ears were flat against her head, the way they got when she was nervous. "The adults are all sleeping," Reeks said, "and we will just look. Just a quick look at the humans and their things. Then we will go back." "Mother said to stay away from the embassy quarters," Tor reminded them. But his tail was swishing with excitement. He wanted to go as much as the others did. "We are not going to hurt anything," Reeks said. "We just want to see. Humans are so strange. They have no fur. Their ears are tiny and round. How do they even hear properly?" The three cubs crept through the colony, staying in the shadows. The moons were bright tonight, 3 of them in different phases, casting everything in silver and blue light. Most Velrathi were in their homes, sleeping through the quiet hours. The embassy quarters sat peacefully in the moonlight. No lights showed in the windows. The humans were sleeping too. "See? Safe," Reeks whispered. They approached carefully, sniffing the air. The human scent was there, faint and strange. It did not smell like any animal the cubs knew, not like Velrathi, not like the herbivore species that sometimes visited the colony, not like anything in their experience. "It smells weird," Vela said, wrinkling her nose. "Everything from Earth smells weird," Tor replied. "Their ship smelled weird too, all metal and burning and cold air." They crept closer to the building. The main door was locked, but cubs were small and clever. They found a gap in the wall of the courtyard, where 2 stones did not quite meet. One by one, they squeezed through. The courtyard was small and peaceful. And there, hanging from the line in the moonlight, were the humans' clothes. The cubs froze, staring. "What are those?" Vela breathed. "Clothes," Reeks said. Humans wear them because they have no fur. I heard Mother talking about it. The shirts and pants swayed gently in the night breeze. To the cubs, they looked like strange, flat creatures hanging from the line, colorful and soft and completely fascinating. Tor padded forward first. He stood on his back legs and batted at a blue shirt with one paw. It swung away from him, then back. He batted it again. "Stop that," Vela hissed. "You will tear it." But Tor was already batting the shirt again, playing with it like it was a toy. The shirt came loose from one of its clips and fell to the ground. All three cubs pounced on it immediately. The fabric was soft, softer than anything they had felt before. It was thin but strong, woven in a way that was different from Velrathi cloth. And the smell was incredible. Crix buried his nose in the fabric and inhaled deeply. His pupils went wide. There was something about this scent that made his whiskers tingle and his fur stand up. It was not bad exactly, just powerful, intense, like nothing he had ever smelled before. "Let me smell," Vela demanded, pushing Crix aside. Soon all three cubs were rolling on the fallen shirt, rubbing their faces and bodies against it. It was irresistible. The smell seemed to get into their noses and stay there, filling their heads with strange sensations. "This one, too," Tor said, jumping up to pull down another shirt. Then another. Before long, all of Tay's laundry was on the ground, and three cubs were rolling in it like it was the best thing in the universe. They purred and chirped and played, tossing shirts between them, wrapping themselves in pants, dragging everything around the courtyard. The fabric picked up their scent, too, mixing Velrathi cub smell with human sweat and earth soap. But mostly, the human smell soaked into the cubs' fur. It clung to them, got into every strand, marked them with something their bodies did not understand, but responded to anyway. Time passed. The moons moved across the sky. The cubs played until they were tired, until their energy ran out, and they lay in a pile of human clothing, yawning. "We should go back," Vela said sleepily. "Mother will be angry if she wakes up and we are gone," Crix agreed. They tried to hang the clothes back up. But it was hard to do in the dark with paws instead of hands. Some of the clips were lost in the shadows. The clothes were wrinkled and covered in fur now. Eventually, the cubs gave up and just left everything in a messy pile. "The humans will think the wind did it," Tor said hopefully. They squeezed back through the gap in the wall and ran home through the quiet colony. Their paws were silent on the stone paths. Their hearts were beating fast with the thrill of their adventure. They did not notice how strongly they smelled now. They did not know that the human scent had soaked deep into their fur, changing their odor completely. To them, it was just a fun night of exploration and play. They reached Vela's home first. She slipped through the window of her sleeping room and curled up in her nest, exhausted and happy. Tor and Crix continued on to their own homes, moving through the shadows like little ghosts. By the time all three cubs were back in their beds, pretending to have been there all along, the damage was done. They reeked of human. Every inch of their fur carried the scent of Tay's sweat, of earth proteins and pheromones, of something their world had never encountered before. In the embassy quarters, Tay slept peacefully, unaware that his laundry had been stolen and used as toys. He dreamed of successful meetings and good trade deals. In their separate homes, three Velrathi cubs drifted off to sleep, tired from their adventure and pleased with themselves. And in the darkness, the scent molecules settled deeper into fur, spreading and intensifying. By morning, those scent molecules would be discovered. By morning, the entire colony would know that something was very, very wrong. But for now, everyone slept. The moons continued their journey across the sky. The twin suns waited below the horizon, ready to rise and bring a new day. A day that would change everything the Velrathi thought they knew about humans. A day that would start with panic. Morning came to the colony with the first sun rising over the eastern hills. Tai woke up feeling optimistic. Today was his first official meeting with the Velrathi Council. He had prepared for this moment for months. He walked out to the courtyard to collect his dry clothes and stopped dead. His laundry was everywhere. Shirts lay in crumpled heaps. Pants were dragged across the stones. Everything was covered in golden and gray and red fur. The clips that had held his clothes were scattered like small metal bones. "Hana?" he called. "Did we have weather last night?" Hana came out and stared. "That is not weather. That is animals." "Animals wore my shirts?" "Animals played with your shirts," Hana corrected. She picked up one of Ty's favorite shirts and held it up. Claw marks ran down one side. "Small animals, by the size of these prints. Cubs, probably." Tay sighed. "Great. First day here and I have already angered the local wildlife." "They are just cubs," Hana said. "Cubs are curious everywhere, even on alien worlds. We will wash everything again. No harm done." But harm was already spreading through the colony, even though neither human knew it yet. Across the settlement, Vela's mother came into her daughter's room to wake her for morning meal. She stopped in the doorway, her nose twitching. Something smelled wrong. Very wrong. "Vela?" she called softly. Vela stretched and yawned, showing all her small teeth. "Good morning, Mother." Her mother approached slowly, sniffing. The smell grew stronger. It came from Vela herself, from her fur, so powerful it made Vela's mother take a step back. "What is that smell?" she demanded. "What smell?" Vela asked, confused. Her mother's pupils had gone narrow with alarm. That scent, it triggered something deep in her brain, something that screamed danger. She had never smelled anything like it, but her body knew it anyway. Predator, apex predator, something that hunted, something that killed. "Where did you go last night?" her mother asked, trying to stay calm. "Nowhere. I was sleeping." But Vela's mother was already calling for help. Within minutes, other adults arrived. They all smelled Vela and had the same reaction. Ears back, fur rising, pupils narrow. One of them, an elder named Reeks, actually hissed. "Get the other cubs from her playgroup," he ordered. "Now!" Tor was found in his home, playing with his younger brother. He smelled the same as Vela, like something out of nightmares. His father carried him to the colony center at arm's length, fighting against the urge to run. Crix was discovered in the garden, trying to wash the smell off in the fountain. The water did nothing. The scent was too deep, too strong. An adult grabbed him gently but firmly and brought him to join the others. All three cubs sat in the center of the colony square, while adults surrounded them in a wide circle. Every Velrathi in the settlement had come to see what was happening. They kept their distance, unable to help themselves. The smell coming from the cubs made their instincts scream warnings. "What did you touch?" Shara demanded. She stood at the front of the crowd, trying to keep her voice steady. "What did you get into?" The cubs looked at each other. They were scared now, confused by the adults' reactions. "We just wanted to see the humans," Crix admitted in a small voice. "The humans?" Shara repeated. Her mind raced. "You went to the embassy quarters?" "We only played with their clothes," Vela said. "We did not hurt anything. We were just curious." Understanding hit Shara like cold water. The human clothes. The cubs had rolled in human scent. That was what everyone was smelling. The scent of the humans themselves, concentrated and powerful. But that did not make sense. Humans were small, soft creatures with no claws and no fangs. They looked harmless. How could they smell like this? Like death walking on two legs. "Everyone stay calm," Shara ordered. But she could see panic in the eyes around her. Some of the Velrathi were already backing away, wanting to run. She turned to her second-in-command, a silver-furred male named Dax. "Isolate the cubs, somewhere downwind. And get me every piece of information we have on humans. Everything. While the cubs were led away to a building on the edge of the colony, Shara went to her office and started searching. She called up files from the Galactic database, reading everything about Earth and its people. Humans were Class 5 sentients. They came from a world with high gravity and dangerous weather. They were omnivores. They had built a civilization through cooperation and tool use. Nothing in the files explained this scent. Dax arrived with more council members. They all looked shaken. "The scent is not fading," Dax reported. "Whatever is on those cubs, it is deep in their fur. We might have to shave them." "No one is shaving anyone until we understand what is happening," Shara said firmly. "Have you contacted the regional council?" "Yes. They are sending an expert in xenobiology. She will arrive by evening." "That is not fast enough. We need answers now." Another Velrathi rushed in, younger with brown fur. "Leader Shara. 3 more cubs are showing signs. They played with Krix, Vela, and Tor yesterday. The scent has transferred." Shara felt a chill run down her spine. The scent could spread. Of course it could. Like a disease, moving from fur to fur. "Quarantine them too," she ordered, "and anyone else who has been in close contact with the original 3. The colony was descending into chaos. Parents kept their cubs inside. Adults avoided each other, afraid of carrying the scent. Work stopped. Gardens were abandoned. The normal sounds of the settlement, laughter, singing, conversation, died away into nervous silence. And through it all, the question hung in the air like smoke. What kind of creatures were these humans? Shara stood at her window, looking toward the embassy quarters. She could see movement there. The humans were awake, going about their morning, completely unaware of the crisis they had caused. Should she confront them? Demand an explanation? Or was this some kind of threat, some biological weapon designed to make other species fear them? No, that did not fit with what she knew of humans. They had come here in peace. They wanted trade and friendship. They had been nothing but polite and respectful. But their smell said otherwise. Their smell said they were predators beyond anything the Velrathi had ever encountered. Their smell said they were dangerous. Shara made a decision. She would wait for the xenobiologist. She would gather more information. And then she would talk to Captain Tay, human to Velrathi, and ask him directly, "What are you people really?" In the quarantine building, 3 cubs huddled together, scared and confused. They had just wanted to play. They had not meant to cause trouble. But trouble had found them anyway, soaked into their fur in the form of human sweat and earth-born pheromones, and the colony would never be the same. Tay knew something was wrong when no one came to escort him to the morning meeting. He stood in the embassy quarters, dressed in his cleaned uniform, checking his watch for the 5th time. The meeting should have started 20 minutes ago, but no one had come to get him. No one had even sent a message. "Maybe they forgot?" Hana suggested, though she did not sound convinced. "You do not forget about your first diplomatic meeting with an alien species," Tay replied. He walked to the window and looked out at the colony. The streets were empty. No Velrathi moved between buildings. No cubs played in the gardens. It was like everyone had vanished. "Something is very wrong," he said quietly. Before Hana could respond, there was a sharp knock at the door. Tay opened it to find a young Velrathi standing there, keeping well back from the entrance. Her ears were flat, her tail was low, and she would not meet his eyes. "Captain Tay," she said quickly, "Leader Shara requests your presence in the council chamber, immediately." "Of course," Tay said. "Let me just—" But the Velrathi was already walking away, fast, like she could not get away from him quickly enough. Tay and Hana followed her through the empty streets. The silence was unnerving. Tay caught glimpses of Velrathi watching from windows, but when he looked their way, they pulled back into the shadows. "They are afraid of us," Hana whispered. "But why? They reached the council chamber, a large circular building with a domed roof. The young Velrathi gestured for them to enter, then disappeared around a corner at a run. Inside, the chamber was full. Every council member sat in a semicircle, with Shara at the center, but they all sat far back from the center of the room, where 2 chairs had been placed for the humans. Tai and Hana took their seats. The silence stretched out, uncomfortable and thick. Finally, Shara spoke. "Captain Tay, we have a situation." "I can see that," Tay replied carefully. "How can we help?" "You can start by explaining what you are." Tay blinked. "I am sorry. I do not understand the question." Shara leaned forward slightly. "Last night, 3 of our cubs entered your courtyard. They played with your clothing. This morning they smell like predators, like something that should terrify every species in the galaxy. We need to know if this was intentional." "Intentional?" Tay felt lost. "Cubs got into our laundry, and now you think what? That we did something to them?" "Not to them," Shara said. "But your scent, Captain. Your smell triggers fear responses in us. Deep, primal fear. The kind of fear that prey feels when a hunter approaches." Tay sat back, stunned. "You think we smell dangerous?" "We do not think it. We know it. The cubs have been quarantined. 6 of them now because the scent spreads. Our people are afraid to leave their homes. All because they smell human." Before Tay could respond, a new Velrathi entered the chamber. She was older, with silver fur and sharp, intelligent eyes. She carried a portable computer and moved with purpose. "Ah," Shara said. "Captain Tay, this is Yuri, our xenobiologist. She has been studying your species." Yuri set up her computer and projected images onto the wall. Pictures of Earth appeared. Forests, savannas, oceans. "I have spent the day researching," Yuri said without preamble, "and I believe I have an explanation." She pulled up an image of a human, then zoomed in on a diagram of human skin. "Humans sweat," she said. "Most species do not sweat the way humans do. You secrete water and salts and proteins through millions of tiny pores in your skin. This cools you down, yes, but it also releases pheromones, chemical signals." Tay nodded slowly. "That is correct." "These pheromones," Yuri continued, "contain molecules that are structurally similar to the marking scents of Earth's apex predators. Big cats, bears, wolves. To a species that evolved around predators, your smell would be recognizable as dangerous carnivore. But we Velrathi did not evolve on Earth. We have no context for your specific chemistry." She pulled up more data. "What we do have is an instinctive response to predator markers. All intelligent prey species do. It is how we survived long enough to build civilizations. When we smell something that registers as an apex predator, our bodies react. Fear, alarm, the urge to flee or fight." "But humans are not that dangerous," Hana protested. "We are persistence hunters, yes, but we are also social and cooperative. We build alliances, not just hunt." "Your conscious mind knows that," Yuri agreed. "But instinct does not care about consciousness. Instinct smells something that says, 'Predator beyond anything we know,' and screams danger." Shara was listening intently. "So this is natural? Not a weapon?" "Completely natural," Yuri confirmed. "Though I suspect it is why humans have had limited contact with other species until now. Most species probably find you terrifying to be near, even if they cannot explain why." Tay felt like the ground had shifted under him. "We smell like monsters to you." "Not monsters," Shara said quietly. "Predators. There is a difference. We Velrathi are predators too. We understand the smell of the hunt. But your smell—" She paused, choosing words carefully. "It speaks of something we have no comparison for. A predator that does not give up. That does not tire. That will chase prey for days if necessary." "Persistence hunting," Tay said. "That is how our ancestors survived. We ran prey to exhaustion. And the prey could smell you coming, Yuri added. Could smell death approaching, slow and inevitable. That terror, that certainty of being hunted, it is coded into your pheromones. You wear your hunting history on your skin. The council chamber was silent. Everyone was processing this information. Finally, Dax spoke up. So what do we do? The cubs still smell like humans. The quarantine is still in effect. How do we fix this? Time, Yuri said. The scent will fade in a few days, maybe a week. Bathing will help speed the process, but there is no instant solution. And what about future interactions? Another council member asked. If we establish trade with Earth, if more humans come here, will we all live in constant low-level fear? Exposure helps, Yuri said. Like any fear response, familiarity reduces the intensity. You will become accustomed to human scent. Your instincts will learn that these particular predators are not a threat. Will they, though? The question came from a Velrathi at the back. Learn that humans are not a threat? All eyes turned to Tay. He stood up slowly. I cannot promise we are not dangerous, he said honestly. Humans can be violent. We have wars. We fight over resources and ideas. But we are also capable of great kindness, great cooperation. We came here offering friendship. That is still what we offer. He looked around the chamber, meeting eyes that wanted to look away but forced themselves to hold his gaze. You are predators too, Tay continued. You understand the balance, knowing when to hunt and when to be peaceful. We are the same, and yes, we smell like what we are. But what we are is more than just hunters. We are builders, teachers, friends, if you will let us be. Shara stood as well. The cubs will be released from quarantine tomorrow, she declared. They made a mistake, but it was an innocent one, and we will continue our discussions about trade and alliance. Are you certain? Dax asked. No, Shara admitted. But fear is not a reason to close doors. It is a reason to be cautious, yes, but also brave. She looked at Tay. Besides, if we Velrathi cannot face our instincts and overcome them, what does that say about us? Tay felt something release in his chest. Thank you. Do not thank me yet, Shara said with a slight smile. You still owe us new laundry clips, and an explanation for why human shirts are so attractive to cubs. 3 days later, the colony had returned to something close to normal. The cubs were released from quarantine, scrubbed clean and smelling mostly like themselves again. Krix, Vela, and Tor received stern lectures from their parents about respecting boundaries and not stealing laundry from alien diplomats. They promised to behave, but Tai caught them watching him from safe distances, their curiosity clearly not satisfied. The adults were adjusting. It was not easy. Every time Tay walked through the colony, he could see ears twitch and whiskers pull back. But people no longer fled. They were learning, as Yuri had said they would, that the scary smell did not mean immediate danger. Tay was learning too. He paid attention to how the Velrathi reacted to his presence. He stayed downwind when possible. He gave them space. He washed more frequently and used scent-reducing soap that Yuri had recommended. It helps a little, she told him after running tests, but you will always smell like what you are. The question is whether we can accept what you are. On the 4th day, Shara invited Tay to a private meeting in her garden. It was evening, with both suns setting and the moons beginning to rise. Flowers that only bloomed at dusk opened around them, releasing sweet scents into the cooling air. I have been speaking with the regional council, Shara said as they walked, and with representatives from other colonies. Word has spread about the humans and their unique biology. Good word or bad word? Tay asked. Both. Shara paused by a fountain, watching the water. Some colonies are frightened. They do not want humans anywhere near them. The prey species especially, the herbivores and smaller omnivores. To them, you smell like nightmare creatures from their evolutionary past. I understand, Tay said quietly. We can work with the colonies that are willing. We will not force contact where it is not wanted. But here is the interesting part, Shara continued. The predator species are fascinated, not afraid, intrigued. They want to meet you. They want to understand how a species that smells so dangerous could also be so peaceful. She turned to face him directly. We, Velrathi, have decided to propose a formal alliance with Earth. Not just trade, but partnership. We think humans could be valuable allies. Tay felt his heart beat faster. That is more than we hoped for. There are conditions, Shara warned. You will need to be honest about your capabilities, your military strength, your technology, your history of conflict. If we are going to ally with apex predators, we need to know exactly what that means. Fair enough, Tay agreed. We will share everything, the good and the bad. And we will need assurances, treaties about conflict resolution, about how disputes will be handled without violence. Also fair. Shara's whiskers relaxed slightly. I am glad you understand. Some of the council worried that humans might be offended by our caution. Caution is wisdom, Tay said, especially when dealing with something new and potentially dangerous. I would be worried if you were not careful. They walked on in comfortable silence for a while. The garden was beautiful in the twilight, and Tay found himself thinking about how strange and wonderful it was to be here, on another world, making friends with people who looked like cat people from Earth stories. Can I ask you something? Shara said suddenly. A personal question? Of course. When you learned that we could smell your predator nature, how did you feel? Tay thought about it. Embarrassed at first, then worried. We came here wanting to make a good impression, and instead we terrified cubs and shut down your colony. And now? Now. Tay smiled. Now I think it is good that you can smell what we are. It means we start this relationship with honesty. You know we are dangerous, and you are choosing to work with us anyway. That is stronger than an alliance built on pretty lies. Shara made a sound that Tay had learned was Velrathi laughter, a sort of purring chirp. I like that perspective. Yes, honesty is better than comfortable deception. They reached a bench carved from white stone. Shara sat, and Tay joined her, careful to leave space between them. The cubs want to apologize to you, Shara said, formally. Their parents have been teaching them about diplomatic protocols. They do not need to apologize, Tay protested. They were just being cubs, curious and playful. Nevertheless, they will apologize. It is part of their learning. Shara's eyes gleamed with amusement. Though I suspect they will also ask you many questions about Earth. Reeks in particular has been reading everything he can find about humans. I would be happy to answer questions. Be prepared. Cubs have many questions, and they are not always polite. The next day, Tay found himself in a classroom with 20 Velrathi cubs sitting in neat rows, their eyes wide and whiskers twitching with excitement. Reeks, Vela, and Tor sat in the front row, looking nervous. Cubs, their teacher said, a patient-looking Velrathi with gray fur. Captain Tay has agreed to answer your questions about Earth and humans. Remember your manners. Reeks raised his paw immediately. I am sorry for playing with your clothes. It was wrong to enter your courtyard without permission. I am sorry too, Vela added quickly. And me, Tor said, though he looked less sorry than curious. Apology accepted, Tay said with a smile. No harm done. My shirt survived. 20 paws shot into the air, each cub desperate to ask their question first. For the next hour, Tay answered questions about everything from why humans had no fur, to whether Earth had any predators bigger than humans, to what human cubs like to play with. The cubs were fascinated by the idea of persistence hunting, of humans who could run for days without stopping. "But you do not look like you could run far," one small cub pointed out. "You have no claws, no big teeth, no strong legs." "That is our secret," Tay said. "We do not need to be fast or strong. We just need to keep going. We invented the marathon, a race where humans run for over 40 kilometers. Some humans can run over 100 kilometers in a day." The cubs looked at each other with something like respect and horror mixed together. "That is terrifying," Vela whispered. "That is humans," Tay agreed cheerfully. As the class ended and the cubs filed out, still chattering about the strange furless aliens, Crix lingered behind. "Captain Tay?" he said quietly. "Can I ask one more question?" "Of course." "When I smelled your shirt that night, it made me feel strange, scared but also excited. Like I wanted to run but also wanted to stay and learn more. Is that normal?" Tay knelt down to be at the cub's eye level. "That sounds very normal. Fear and curiosity often go together. The trick is not letting fear win. You stayed curious even when you were scared. That is brave." Crix's whiskers perked up. "Really?" "Really. And that curiosity, that is what will make you a good friend to humans and to all species. Keep being curious, Crix." The cub bounded away, his tail high with pleasure. Tay stood and found Shara waiting in the doorway. She had watched the whole exchange. "You are good with cubs," she observed. "I like cubs. Human cubs. Alien cubs. They are all basically the same. Curious and energetic and full of questions." "The Regional Council has agreed to our proposal," Shara said. "Earth and the Velrathi Concordance will enter formal alliance negotiations. You will need to bring more diplomats, specialists, perhaps some scientists." "We will send our best people," Tay promised. "And Captain Tay?" "Yes?" "When you tell this story to other humans, please mention that it all started because 3 cubs could not resist playing with laundry." Tay laughed. "I will make sure everyone knows. The Great Human Velrathi Alliance, founded on stolen shirts and curious cubs." That night, Tay sent his report to Earth. He told them about the panic, about the scent issue, about Yuri's research, and the cubs' apology. He told them about the alliance offer and what it would mean for human expansion into this region of space. But mostly, he told them the truth, that humans smelled like predators to most aliens, and that this would be both a blessing and a curse. Some species would fear them. Others would respect them. A few, like the Velrathi, would see past the fear to the people underneath. "We are what we are," he wrote in his conclusion. "We smell like hunters because we are hunters. But we are also friends and allies and builders. The galaxy will have to accept all of what we are, not just the comfortable parts. And we will have to earn their trust, one stolen shirt at a time." He sent the report and walked out to his courtyard. New laundry hung on the line, drying in the night breeze. This time, the courtyard wall had been repaired. No more gaps for curious cubs. But in the morning, Tay would find small paw prints on the wall where someone had climbed up to look, and a flower left on his doorstep. Crix's way of saying thank you. The colony slept peacefully under the 3 moons. Somewhere in the distance, a nightbird sang. The twin suns would rise soon, bringing another day of meetings and negotiations, and the slow, careful work of building trust between species. And in homes across the colony, cubs dreamed of Earth and its strange, persistent hunters who smelled like danger but spoke like friends. The future was full of possibilities, all because 3 cubs had found a human's laundry and brought back something more valuable than they knew, the truth about who humans really were, wrapped in the scent of sweat and soap and the long history of the hunt.